Hi everyone, my name is Foad Hamidi, and in this video I'm presenting our paper entitled Knowledge Comes Through Participation, Understanding Disability Through the Lens of DIY-Assistive Technology in Western Kenya, on behalf of my colleagues Patrick Mbullo Owuor, Michaela Hynie, and Melanie Baljko. First, our introduction and motivation. Most assistive technologies in lower and middle income countries are manufactured elsewhere, are expensive and difficult to maintain, characteristics that pose barriers to access for people who would benefit from them. Do-it-yourself assistive technologies, or DIY-ATs, that are designed, customized, and repaired by non-technical users offer exciting opportunities in these contexts. Examples include a grip that can be used to pick up a pen or a spoon and can be 3D printed and customized, or a single switch that can be created by everyday electronics. Despite their potential, the majority of research on DIY-ATs is conducted outside of lower and middle income countries. In this study, we pursued the following research questions. What are current technical and sociopolitical factors impacting AT access in Kenya, and what potential role can DIY-ATs play in this context? What are stakeholder reflections on the infrastructures and socio-technical factors involved in using DIY-ATs in Kenya? We choose to conduct this study in Kenya as a representative lower and middle income country because there has been recent legislation recognizing the rights of people with disabilities in Kenya, and also Kenya is a leader in the design and development of interactive technologies in Eastern Africa. To pursue our research questions, we used TalkBox, a DIY assistive technology research probe. TalkBox is a system that allows nonverbal users to communicate with others through touching a series of conductive buttons that then activate the playback of a customized audio file. It uses a Raspberry Pi and touch sensor to detect and respond to touch. TalkBox is also open source, and its hardware costs less than $100. TalkBox is customizable and can be used in a variety of scenarios. Also, the audio files and the number of buttons can be increased or reduced based on need. For example, in the photo on the slide, I have a child with cerebral palsy in a wheelchair is using TalkBox to play back audio files responding to an exercise that she's completing. And in another photo, a nonverbal youth is using it for greetings and communication with others. This project is the final component of a longitudinal study where we've worked with teachers and students with disabilities at 3 special education schools in urban and rural areas in Western Kenya over approximately 3 years. We conducted interdisciplinary workshops where we trained teachers on how to use this system, how to customize it, and we conducted field work and observations in the schools where the youth and children were using this device, and we conducted focus groups and interviews with stakeholders. For the current paper, I'm going to only focus on the final stakeholder focus group meeting where participants were discussing their reflections on the possibilities and challenges of using a system like TalkBox in the Kenyan context. Our participants represented a wide range of stakeholders, including government and non-governmental representatives, special education teachers, therapists, students from the local university, and representatives from innovation hubs and technology communities that are active locally. To derive our results from the focus group, with audio recorded, transcribed, and thematically analyzed data, and derive the following 3 overarching themes. Our first finding outlines the socio-political aspects of disability in Kenya. Despite existing legislation, people with disabilities face barriers, and there's a gap between legislation and implementation. Participants described the need for increased resources, including teachers, programs, and technologies, to make legislation reality. They identified a possibility for ubiquitous and mobile technologies, including DIY solutions, to implement accessible applications with different functions, such as assessment, that can be conducted remotely. Our study actually took place before COVID, and so some of these findings are even more relevant today. Another finding underlined the importance of assistive technologies supporting inclusion. Participants described that assistive technologies can contribute to inclusive education and increase social participation. They can act as bridging mechanisms to challenge and connect the experiences of people with disabilities across social, educational, and therapeutic contexts. Assistive technologies can provide opportunities for their users to practice agency and complete daily tasks beyond the medical contexts. Finally, they can facilitate early and frequent experiences of empowerment and inclusion for children with disabilities and their peers, so that they can get used to these experiences and normalize their social inclusion. Finally, participants described that it is necessary to create local capacity to create homegrown assistive technologies and keep their software and hardware components up to date. Designers also need to ensure that technology does not negatively impact their users and also does not create negative environmental concerns, such as increased garbage. Overall, participants were enthusiastic about the possibilities of digital assistive technologies, including DIY assistive technologies, but also pointed out that the technologies exist in a web of interrelationships among policy, government, societal attitudes, and technology access more generally. They also pointed out that deploying these type of technologies needs securing stakeholder buy-in and building local technical and social capacity and infrastructure to support community-based sustainability. I'll conclude by summarizing our key findings on the possibilities of DIY-ATs in Kenya. First, future efforts should address infrastructural needs for making technology-focused DIY practices sustainable. Second, we found aspirations to participate in technological innovation coupled with a sensitivity to avoid dependencies and marginalizations in our stakeholders. Finally, we found an increased awareness of social nature of disability, but a lack of resources and concrete efforts to facilitate impactful change. These all point to the possibilities of using participatory, community-based approaches in the future to identify and turn into reality the potentials of homegrown DIY assistive technologies in Kenya and other lower and middle income countries. Thank you very much. I hope you enjoyed the presentation, and feel free to contact us with questions.